Ladies and gentlemen, as predicted, Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race. Now, many people, many Republicans are saying if you can't run for office, then how are you running this country? But oh boy, this one goes deep. My friends, over the past, couple of weeks, you've lived through how many unprecedented historical moments? Suffice it to say, we certainly live in interesting times. Now, the question is, did Joe Biden actually drop out of the race, or did someone drop out for him? You see, there's a lot of questions. For one, Joe Biden has not yet addressed the nation. He could have put out a video on X saying it is with, regret and remorse, I must say, I am dropping out of this race. No, we got a letter that wasn't on official letterhead, and everyone is questioning the signature. I don't know. Look, maybe Joe Biden dropped out. Maybe he didn't. Formally, he's dropped out. The Biden campaign has officially filed. It's no longer the Biden campaign. The Biden X account is gone. It is now the Kamala account. Kamala has been endorsed by Joe Biden, by the Clintons, not by Obama. I am not yet convinced, my friends, that Kamala Harris will, in fact, be the nominee. I don't know for sure, but I'm actually leaning towards probably not Kamala Harris. We shall see. Just because she received the the endorsement, not the nomination, does not mean she will be the nominee. Some are speculating that Hillary Clinton will swoop in, pick up the nomination and say, I am willing to step up at this moment. And the only thing we need fear at this point, based on polling, is, well, a shadow campaign. We have no idea what is at store for us, but I can tell you this. I believe it is the only logical explanation, and the most logical explanation, that Democrats pulled off this stunt, this scheme to block RFK Jr. from being the Democrat nominee. He was, of course, running. They blocked him out. They said, no, you can't. And so here we are. The only people who are running against Joe Biden were, Dean Phillips? RFK Jr. wanted it, but they said, no, it's Joe Biden, end of story. Well, if RFK Jr. was going to run, he had to run as an independent. So he did. He declared his independence. Yeah, haha, very clever. And then, well, he ended up running. What happens then? As we all predicted oh so heavily, Joe Biden dropped out way late in the game, past the deadline for several states. So what are these states going to have on their ballots? The Democrats in those states are going to pull strings and make special provisions so that they can change the name on the ballot. This is a component of the shadow campaign. But we will talk about all of this, my friends. Welcome to another special live Tim Pool morning show, daily show, whatever you call it. Last week, while we were at the RNC, I did a week of live streams and then pulled clips and posted them later in the day. And the main reason is unprecedented historical moments. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life was massive, and the news was massive. I should say the amount of news circulating was too much to bear. So I said, we're going to have to do this live so we can get through everything. And then sure enough, 1 week after someone tries to take the life of Donald Trump, Joe Biden announces he out. I don't think these things are coincidences. I believe that, you know what? I'll leave it to Donald Trump. He said, I'm not supposed to be here at the RNC. Gave an amazing speech, nearly cried, talking about the firefighter who lost his life. They've raised millions for the victims. And look, as more information comes out about the assassination attempt, more and more it starts to seem like, inside job. And I hate to say it because I'm not a big fan of conspiracies. The problem with conspiracy theories is that you can never stop your conspiracy theories. Because you're always connecting dots, whether the connections are there, you can literally drive a conspiracy theory to the point of absurdity. And that's just, look, do we have the evidence? What I can tell you is the evidence that we have so far, reported by media, law enforcement, Republican, Democrat, as well as eyewitnesses, does not point to a lone lunatic 20-year-old. Certainly doesn't. There's been speculation about black SUVs meeting in certain areas. There's speculation about open windows or men on water towers. We don't even need none of that. We don't. The shooter reportedly flew a drone over the Trump rally. Unheard of. Flying a drone over a presidential rally is unheard of. Secret Service knew 3 hours, 1 hour, 26 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes. Trump was never informed there was a threat against him, despite them identifying a threat. How many unprecedented failures can happen in one go before you just say, guys, I don't think it was an accident? Look, if I saw Charlie Chaplin slip on a banana peel, I might be like, yeah, that could be part of the act, and maybe actually slipped on a banana peel. But imagine Charlie Chaplin walks on stage, slips on a banana peel, does a backflip, lands on 2 more banana peels, slides down the rest of the stage, crashing into a bunch of bowling pins, which he then catches and starts juggling. I'm going to be like, yeah, that's an act. That was all intentional. So until we get an official story that makes sense, and we haven't gotten one, I don't know what to tell you. So instead of rambling on once again about how they nearly took the life of the popular presidential candidate, I'd like to start by saying this before we get into all the big segments. Democrats have chosen their nominee, or will be choosing their nominee, by political elite in what is likely to be shadow ballots, secret ballot. The Republicans have chosen their nominee by popular mandate. That is to say, my friends, Republicans care about democracy, and Democrats don't. Meanwhile, Democrats are calling the Democratic choice for president, of which there's only one, a fascist. You'll love it, don't you? Let me stress that again for all of you. There is only one candidate by popular mandate right now, Donald Trump. Kamala Harris, if she's the nominee, appointed by political elites. And whoever the Democratic brokered convention chooses will be president by political elite. This is your choice right now. Communist political party elections or popular mandate. Have fun, America. Before we get started, of course, head over to Timcast.com. Click that join us. We're going to have a great Timcast IRL tonight and members only call-in show. I've got a bunch of segments lined up for you. Almost all of the news, literally every news outlet is only talking about what it means that Biden is dropping out, the politics, the polling. So we're going to break this down. And then I am absolutely just going to rip at the end of this 2-hour live stream into total culture, personal endeavors, and slip away from the historical moments that is, and tone things down a bit. So stick around if you want to hear about culture war stuff, because this news is about to get heavy. And I need not say it already has. But again, you can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Let's jump into this first story. We've got this from Axios. Biden drops out, endorses Harris. Biden announced Sunday he is stepping aside as the presumptive Democratic nominee. What I love about this is that he says, I will not accept the nomination. I love that manipulation. As if it was his choice all along. It technically is not to accept the nomination, basically saying all 14 million or however many people voted in the Democratic primaries, meaningless. Here's his letter to the American people for those that did not see it. I assume most of you did, but we'll go through this before we get into the nitty gritty of how this will impact politics and what Kamala Harris is doing. And the conspiracy theories, which I love. Joseph R. Biden Jr. My fellow, and it's not an official letterhead. I don't know if that means anything. His signature also looks weird. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America is the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation and lowering prescription drug costs for seniors and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We provided critically needed care to a million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I'll pause and say, humbly disagree, but sure. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We protected and preserved our democracy, and we revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all of those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I have always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America. Well, right now, the current theory is that Joe Biden didn't actually resign. It wasn't him. Someone else filled this out. Someone else posted these. And let me just stress, my friends, of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. Now, look at this, 57.6 million views on this one, 100 million on this one. Joe Biden did not make these posts. Whether or not that means he did or did not resign is not relevant. However, I kind of wonder who signed that letter because that signature don't look like Joe Biden's signature, but that doesn't matter. My friends, this week, Joe Biden will put out a statement. He will be resigning. That's it. Could you imagine if Joe Biden came out and he was like, I never did that. I never signed that. I'm running. They faked it. That would be the greatest thing ever. I hope that's the reality we live in. But unfortunately, probably not. Probably not, my friends. But again, let me just stress. Could you imagine Thursday? He posts a video on X being like, I'm not resigning. I didn't write that letter. I'm going to be president again, I think. Anyway, that would be epic. He's got another post. It's a picture of him and Kamala laugh and have a good time. My fellow Democrats, I've decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all of my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president. And it's been the best decision I've made. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. Well, you can't. You can't. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. This is just like apocalyptic. Kamala Harris can't pull it off. Her polling is much worse than Joe Biden's, which says to me, brokered convention, secret ballot, Kamala is not the nominee. How do they get past Kamala Harris? They don't vote for her. Everybody has this question, right? Kamala can't win. That's why Joe Biden, it's one of the reasons I claim Joe Biden didn't want to step down because they did not have a means of bypassing Kamala. We still do. Joe Biden resigns as president for a health emergency. Kamala steps in as president because she's vice president. And then I don't know who she chooses as vice president, but she says, I can't run a campaign while I'm being You know what I love too about Kamala is that she's got that mental disorder. And I mean this literally, I'm not trying to be insulting, where she laughs at inappropriate times. And it does have a name. It's where regardless of the context, you start laughing. And it actually is considered to be some kind of mental disorder. I am not trying to insult the woman. Calm down, YouTube. I'm saying quite literally, you'll watch these videos and you'll get like Charlemagne the God or someone being like, Vice President Harris, you know, we've seen real concerns about policing in our inner cities. And what can you do as vice president to help people feel calm? And she'll go, and it's like, what? What are you laughing about? Well, Hillary Clinton did the same thing. You know what I think it really is, though? I don't think it's a mental disorder. I think that the political consultants for Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton are telling them you cannot be the screechy, strong woman because people don't respond well to that. You have to be the jovial, laughing woman, which is terrible advice. But I hate to break it to you guys. I wonder if there is just naturally a predisposition humans have to react less positively to women rallying cries as opposed to men. I mean that. I'll give you some examples. Or I'll give you my experience. So I did a nonprofit fundraising. Almost all of you know this. And there were two characteristics that served men and women, respectively, individually, very well. You weren't allowed to say this in the office. You were just supposed to try and give people the best understanding of how to fundraise through a sales pitch. So they'd give you these scripts that you'd read verbatim. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm with insert group. Did you know of problem? Problem does thing. Then you have to give a sense of urgency. If we don't accomplish this, bad thing happens. The ask. Now you need to give me money. Boring and doesn't really work. It works in a flat line, like EV positive way. Expected value, meaning like if enough people just read it, you'll make a little more money than you lose. But if you really want to teach someone how to do sales and how to pitch the American people and inspire the masses, well, if you were a guy, if you were tall, congratulations. People just signed up. And if you're a woman, which one do you think that was? And this is funny because I'm going to get offended by this, but no, it really was big breasts. And it's not meant to be crass. Fact is, in all the offices I've worked, which is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offices, 5 different offices doing this job with different rotating staffs and things like this. There was a through line of women with large breasts. Again, not to be crass, would raise a lot of money. They'd go out and they'd come back and be like, I signed up 10 people. And it's like, I wonder why. Tall guys, same thing. Men and women react differently to men and women. And I think that's an important point to be made. Again, not to be crass, but what I'm saying is, if you get like AOC, when she went up on stage, pulled her hair down, and was like, let's go, Bronx, everyone made fun of her. Now, to be fair, it could kind of be like that Howard Dean Yahoo moment or whatever that was he said. Yeehaw, I don't remember. Maybe. But I also think that when you get Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris and they're trying to do this gruff, you vote for me again. It's raspy, squeaky, and I wonder if people have a natural predisposition against something like that. Not to say that it's a 100%, 70. No, it could be like 1 or 2 points that you might lose. Whereas with a guy standing up and saying, I'm telling you now, I will make sure China pays. People are going to be like, oh, that's a strong guy with a deep voice. And with Hillary Clinton, she sounds like this. And Kamala Harris, I'm going to do this. It's like, I think that there are really, it's probably people who don't pay attention a lot to politics. And they have an emotional reaction and expectations, and these things are ingrained in us. Dare I say, I would describe this as inherent sexism, I believe is what the left calls it. And I think that plays a huge role, which is why I don't think Kamala Harris can win. And I don't think Michelle Obama will do as well as Republicans think she will, because Republicans don't understand older boomer Democrats are racist. These Republicans keep saying like, oh, Michelle, she could do really well. I'm like, stop, guys. It's because you're not racist. You don't understand. You look at Michelle Obama and you're like, she's competent and popular. And I'm like, yeah, but Democrats are racist. Republicans have racists too. 100%, don't get me wrong. I'm saying there are people in general that are slightly older that are going to be like, that's not what I want. And Democrats have a large percentage of them. Take a look at this, though. We'll get back to the news here. Intel Crab says the Biden campaign is legally dead. Paperwork was filed moments ago with the FEC to rename the campaign Harris for President. Yo, is this for real? The form can be found here. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. docquery.fec.gov, Harris for President. And I wonder if there was a date for this. 7/21/2024. I wonder what the time is. So apparently there was already I don't know if this is true or not, but there's reporting there was already an advertisement made for Kamala v. Trump before the announcement. I don't know if that's true or not. Just a rumor that I heard that somehow this video got leaked or whatever. And it's like it may be someone filming a screen of like they knew Biden was out. They knew it was going to be Kamala in advance. But let's be real, my friends. The idea that they did not know this a week ago, laughably absurd. Let's play the bare minimum of Democrats are telling the truth. In order to execute a move like this, you need mass planning. Now, that being said, all of the Biden campaign staff were like, we had no idea this was happening. We found out on X. I'll tell you what I think. I think Joe Biden didn't even know it happened. Now, some people are speculating that Joe Biden did not actually resign. Someone resigned on his behalf, and he has no idea what's going on. And the reason why he said, I'll speak to you later in the week instead of putting out a video first and foremost. I got a story for you. I want to show you this first. Natalie F. Denolition says, who signed the letter? Let's see if we can get this a little larger for you to look at. Here's the letter from Joe Biden. Here's the signature on the letter. It's underlined. The R is very different. Everything about this signature is very, very different. It is not Joe Biden's typical letter. Here are the signatures on executive orders. And let's do some handwriting analysis. So first of all, he always puts J.R. Biden Jr., not J.R. Biden. And that's an S, I guess, Bidas, and underlines it. He doesn't do that. He could, though. I'm not saying he didn't sign this, but take a look at this. So here's how he writes all of his signatures. You can see, typically it looks like he goes from bottom up. Actually, no, it looks like he might go, it looks like he goes bottom up. You can see how, oh, no, that's just the one. Yeah, interesting. So when the line starts thick and fades to the bottom, that's the direction of the stroke. But you can also take a look at something like this. This right here, actually, it could be the other way around. I'm not a handwriting expert. What I can tell you is you can see the B has this jolt. Whoop. That's not how he makes his B's. Biden typically makes his B's by going from the bottom up and then down. This signature looks very, very different and is signed in a very, very different way. Now, I don't know if I care all that much about it. Because Biden's going to come out and he's going to say he resigned or whatever, okay? But I kind of feel like if someone was going to forge his signature, they'd at least take a look at his signature and then try to copy it, unless these people are so dang incompetent, which, actually does make quite a bit of sense. But let me tell you a story. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you this story. I'm going to tell you anyway. I worked at Vice, and, oh, man, I don't know. Have I told this story before? Might get people in trouble. So I worked at Vice, and Vice was on HBO when I started working there. This is back in 2013, I think. And there were a lot of questions about whether or not Vice would get renewed on HBO for a couple more seasons. I don't know that any of this is true. This is just what I had heard from a couple different people in the office, and I'm giving you that caveat for legal reasons. It could all be wrong. So what is true is that HBO did their announcements for show renewals, and they did not mention Vice. They didn't give an answer. So nobody knew if Vice and HBO would actually get a few more, another season or even a few more. What I was told by employees at Vice was that the CEO, Shane Smith, publicly announced without notice that Vice had been renewed for 2 more seasons when they were not. And the point was to create a PR debacle for HBO, where they would now have to come out and get into a PR war with Vice, and then people would be arguing with each other. The goal being, by announcing early, HBO says, all right, fine, give them the seasons, but we get to make demands. I don't know if that's true. It could be totally false. The reality could be that Vice wanted DEI. I'm sorry, HBO did. The original Vice show was like 4 dudes. It was Thomas Morton, Ryan was his name, I think, Shane Smith, and Sarush Alvi. And then the next seasons were like a diverse cast of various men and women of different backgrounds. So I don't know. But my point is this. Why sign a fake resignation letter for Joe Biden? Joe Biden can't come out now and be like, I never did that. It would be bedlam and disarray. Joe Biden's refusing to drop out over and over again, refusing. I will not. Schumer, Schiff, all top Democrats keep saying you need to drop out of the race. He says no. So what happens? A single staffer with access to the X account gets a letter that is not on the official White House letterhead for a reason, probably legal reasons, and publishes the letter and says he will not be able to make a move against this. Biden is probably sleeping on a Sunday or eating ice cream and not paying attention. And then what happens? Come Monday, the news breaks. He's making phone calls. Even Trump is making fun of him for this. Trump saying he's waking up having no idea he just dropped out. They dropped out for him. Now he's going to be like, what is this? I'm not running? The campaign's gone? In fact, it may even been Kamala Harris in on it, staging a coup against Joe Biden. With the goal being, they're now going to say, Joe, make the video, you're out of the race. And he's going to be like, I never agreed to this. And they'll be like, what are you going to do now? We've already filed the paperwork. We've already shut down your X account, which they did, which we'll pull up in a second. That's it. Yeah, Biden HQ is officially gone. It's gone. What I do love about this whole scenario, though, my friends, is that who is ahead in the national polls? Trump, up 3.2 against Joe Biden. But what does it matter? They don't have a nominee. I'm loving this timeline. I have no idea what to expect in November. Nobody does. But I will stress for all of you, we don't have a Democrat nominee 3 months out. Okay. What are we, 105 days? Is that what it is? What are we at? I think so. Something like that. I don't know. 3 months until the election. And there is no Democrat nominee. Wow. Now, of course, Democrats are coming out and they're saying things like, well, then you've got no dirt on any of our choices. Democrats will be able to get into this race clean without any opposition research or October surprises. I certainly hope Republicans were doing their research on the entire field to get ready for whatever they're going to need to get ready. But I'll just tell you this. Democrats hate democracy. That'll be the play. That should be the play. Republicans should say something like, Donald Trump was chosen by American people who went to cast their ballots on primary day in each of their states, and show people waving little American flags, because we believe in democracy. Many members of the Republican Party do not like nor want Donald Trump. It was a fierce battle between Trump and Ron DeSantis and DeSantis' supporters. DeSantis was actually considered the favorite for quite some time. But the will of the people be heard. Donald Trump won. And with respect to the process, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and their supporters endorsed Donald Trump because that's what democracy is. On the Democratic side, RFK Jr., who is the third most popular choice for president, was barred from being able to run as a Democrat in their primary process. Through legal shenanigans, they made sure RFK Jr. would not be allowed to be the nominee, forcing RFK Jr. to take a third-party approach. Or, I'm sorry, an independent approach. He's not running a third party, he's running independent. This whole play was so that Democrats, knowing Joe Biden would not be in the race, could choose through secret ballot at a political convention a candidate that the people have not chosen. America, this November is your choice between political party elites that decide for you or the popular choice, Donald Trump. Choice is yours. I find it fascinating when you've got these leftists. I'm going to give a shout out to Jess Margera, the drummer from CKY. You may not know who he is, but, relatively big in the 2000s with Viva La Bam and all that stuff. As a character, side character, not one of the main characters. But he's posting like it's a cult and Trump is bad and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, Trump is who the people chose. You're marching in lockstep behind a party that nobody chose. That's a cult. That's how communism works. It's funny because we say they're communists, neo-Marxists, neocons, whatever, quite literally. This is what North Korea and China do. They have political elites in the party deciding who the nominee will be, and then you get to vote for the guy they chose. But don't get me wrong, this is what Democrats have always wanted. Democrats want a system in which the party elites get to make the choices. It goes way back, my friends. It goes way back. When you had Democrats and Republicans too, but mostly Democrats, meeting with Chinese party officials saying, man, I see how quickly you guys build bridges, how quickly you build buildings. Why can't we do that? Well, a little old thing called the will of the masses. Now, if we could bypass that, we could do whatever we wanted. And that's been the game the whole time. This is a pivotal moment for the United States, a crux, an inflection point. If the Democrats are to win at this juncture, then I do not believe it is hyperbolic to say that this could be the end of American democratic processes. We're a constitutional republic with democratically elected representatives. Some states actually have a proposition voting system, where the people, through popular vote, can actually decide on laws and structures of government. I think that's a good thing. Public participation. Democrats don't. And so we sit here on the precipice. All the polls still Trump v. Biden, but Biden ain't even in the race anymore. Real clear polling. What's the point? Here we go. Trump v. Harris is now available. And what I love about this is that the spread currently is 1.7. Yes, that's right. They're saying that in the polls, Harris does better than Joe Biden. 1.7, I don't think will be enough. I think Donald Trump will still be able to muster enough to easily win. And already what we're looking at, based on what 538 and what CNN have pointed out, and 270 to win, yeah, that's just it. But now everything changes. Let me pull up 270 to win. We just don't know now. Because the polling was all based on Joe Biden. So while we are able to see, look at this, they got Virginia again with Biden in the race. This is what we were looking at. This is absolutely incredible. What were you looking at? New Hampshire was red and Nebraska was totally red. 330. This was the CNN projection based on polling. But now that Biden is out, we have no idea who the nominee is. We have no idea how this map could change. Because the reality is, as much as a lot of people do like Donald Trump, there's a lot of people who don't like Donald Trump. And if they can bring in someone popular, a celebrity who knows, then we have no idea where we'll end up. My friends, this is it. Good night, sweet prince. At Biden HQ, this account doesn't exist. Interesting. I'll tell you what does exist. Kamala HQ. Look at that. Oh, and they're embracing the memes. They're embracing the memes. Sad. You're not, it's not going to work. You know, try, whatever. What is possible is a shadow campaign. Secret ballots, ballot harvesting. Yeah, Kamala Harris has a real path towards winning. Absolutely. If she's even the nominee, I don't even know. Take a look at some of these posts. Kamala HQ reposted. Brett Masala says, holy ish, this is too good. Kamala HQ tweets, welcome to Kamala HQ. This is the official rapid response page of Vice President Harris's presidential campaign. Trump War Room says his account is living unburdened by what has been. Someone responded saying, drop the usage of that phrase now. They're going to spin that into marketing for her campaign. They've been creating TikTok videos of her saying it all over Charlie X songs, and Gen Z loves it. Dude, wrong. Yeah, they love it because they're making fun of it. Come on. You know what I love? People say there's no such thing as bad press. I'm like, oh, yeah? Try taking a dump in the middle of Fifth Avenue and see how the press works out for you. I'm like, come on. Of course there's bad press. But I suppose back in the day, they say there's such a thing as bad press because you could be a hated pariah and make money off of it. Sure. But that doesn't speak much to the longevity of your career. Of course there's bad press. So the idea that the Trump war room or anybody's going to make fun of Kamala Harris for the stupid thing she says, and they're going to be like, don't, because that will give her more press. The media attacked Donald Trump in a stupid way, in a very stupid way. Donald Trump in 2015 is like, we're going to build the wall because we got criminals. They're coming in, too many of them. And the media is like, look what he's saying. He's saying immigrants are criminals. And what happened? A bunch of regular Americans were like, oh, well, he's referring to the criminals. I agree with that. He's going to build a wall? Many Americans heard what Trump had to say because the media was reporting on it as if it was akin to him taking a dump in Fifth Avenue. Or, you know, as Trump explained it, shooting someone on Fifth Avenue. But when Kamala Harris says, you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. She says this all the time. What is it? It's like to be unburdened by what has been. Like, oh, bleh. Dude, she's like one of those guys that makes a Twitter account for themselves, then goes on and writes their own quote and then puts quote themselves. What I love about these people is that, dude, you don't need the quote. You said it. That's what Kamala Harris is doing. She's trying to have something that in the future, they're going to like quote it. Dude, if you said it one time at a speech and everyone went, wow, truly profound. Yeah, that would work. But to be like, to be unburdened by what has been. It's like, yeah, who wrote that for you? Trying to sound official and academic. Yeah, it's not working out for you. That's why they're making fun of you. But this is the Kamala Harris HQ page, and they're saying she's embracing the memes. Look at this. Prominent Biden donor says he won't fundraise for Harris. How fun is that? Oh, man. All right, here's what we're going to do. This is, I'll throw this in the mix, and then we'll drop this on the next segment we're going to record in a second. The calls for Joe Biden to resign. John King, CNN, reports that Democrats are concerned. Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro's Jewish faith is a risk if he's on Kamala Harris's ticket. The anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party as well. And they've also talked about, I think Kamala's husband is Jewish. What's his name? Doug Emhoff or something? Doug Emhoff. I think they were saying the same thing about him. He's Jewish too, right? Yep. He is Jewish. And they've been saying all over Twitter, like, he can't win because he's Jewish. And it's just like, bro. Trump claims Biden never had COVID, says he can't run for office. We're going to jump into the next segment. However, before we do, we've got your super chats. So, as this is a special live morning show, and I'll also stress this too, considering we're getting into the full swing of the primary, of the election, the literal election, and there is so much breaking news starting to swamp the field. This may be the format I opt for the time being. The reason is, when there's 800,000 stories and they're all about one thing, it's very, very difficult to do a multi-segment show for the day, which is why, quite literally, the last segment I have for you is something I was planning on doing on the Culture War channel, on the Timcast YouTube channel, not Tenet Media, but talking about the state of skateboarding and the culture war. There's a story pertaining to me and these woke leftists who are upset that I'm trying to expand and build and invest in skateboarding. And so it's a very, very esoteric but very important culture war story. And it's important mostly to me. But it's because there's like 10,000 stories just about Biden's resignation, or I should say, well, yes, that, and him dropping out. And I can't make 2 segments about the same thing. So we go live, we do an extended show, 2 hours instead of the typical 1 hour and 15. And depending on how much news we get inundated with in the next few months, considering the bedlam that's happening in politics, I may just do morning live shows for the time being. But let's grab some super chats from all of you guys. Smash that like button. 1 like equals 1 fight, fight, fight. Follow me on X at Timcast and Instagram at Timcast as well. Jason Dixon says, it's BS until I hear Joe bumble the words himself. Completely agree. 100%. Conrad writes, as in light of recent events, I have hope for our country. Shout out to the Californians who haven't left to use this opportunity to make California red again. Yes, man says, skibbity toilet 2024. Skibbity dom dom dom. Yes, yes. Okay. Brofin says, should get William Lane Craig on to talk religion. We'll consider it. Riley Lewin called Biden dropping out within 96 hours as soon as they went from Trump. Got shot to back to Biden immediately. It was so Jover. What was the meme that started that? Don't cry because it's Jover. Cry because it Kamala happened. Kamala happened. Kamala happened. I don't know, whatever. Remy says, I'd place bets on Joe as either dead or slipped into a coma or otherwise is unable to address the nation. No, I think it's that he was refusing to do it. They said resign. He goes, no. So they said, okay, we're going to resign for you. And now that the letter is out, there's nothing he can do about it. He's not going to come out later and say no. Thomas Conservative says Biden must resign now. Does he not trust a woman to lead? But he picked Kamala Harris as the VP to take over if needed. So they lied again. He never trusted her. Fish Macon says, Kent Hovind, Dr. Dino, great guest, talk about his jail time. All right. The Matrix has me says, it's all a joke. This is the domino effect of incompetence going its way. Either way, it's all Jover now. Ha ha! Jover. Let's go. Nick C says, hey, Tim, hope you're smashing some new skateboard tricks. We over at Fitcast IRL encourage everyone to come join us. We accept everyone. Let's become healthier, stronger, less angry, and more united. Yes, and less sad. Because as Phil Labonte says, lift heavy thing, make sad voice go away. And in the most grunt-like fashion, you can make that quote. But it does, certainly. Today, my friends, after we wrap up this stream, there will be a skate session at the Boonies, the likes of which the gods themselves will envy. I can already hear everyone saying, what are you, pagan gods, plural? It's a joke. Anyway, Bailey Dingley says, hoping for Trump 2024. Love your work from the UK. Absolutely. JRG says, RFK Jr. is the only true threat to Trump. The Dems are so steeped in their ideology, they are no longer strategic. They are unhinged. Their DEI religion is dying. They have to save their relevance. Indeed. RFK Jr. is the only threat. And this is the warning I have to the Trump campaign staff and to the people running comms for Donald Trump. You do not defeat RFK Jr. by acting like the left does towards Trump. I give you an example. RFK Jr. had a brain worm die in his brain, and it ate part of it. Jeez, that was a big story. In response, the RFK team did the only move they could do, levity, to which RFK Jr.'s Twitter account put out, X account. It said, I will eat 4 or 5 more brain worms, and I promise to still win the debate. Excellent strategy. Lean into it, make a joke about it, and use it as a means to insult your opponents. The response I saw from some of the Trump people was to be like, oh my God, you're nuts, you're crazy, this is disgusting. And I'm like, nope, wrong. That's not how you do it. That's not how Trump would do it. The Trump people need to watch this because imagine Trump was on stage with RFK Jr. and the question of the brain worm came up. And RFK was like, well, I promise to eat 4 more brain worms and still win a debate with Trump. Donald Trump would scoff and be like, the man has brain worms and he's trying to make jokes. Shut down. Like, oof, brain worms. Trump, there's a lot of ways I see Trump going about this, saying something like, well, the brain, it's very serious. Robert, I have nothing to say. I'm sorry that happened to you. Just, you need to put them in a weakened position. To see the response of people being like, you're crazy. No. It was funny. He swung it around and you need to then deflect. How do you do it? You laugh and you go, that was actually pretty good. I guess it's all he can do. It's a pretty serious thing to have a brain parasite eat part of your brain. So I respect that he's trying to say something about it. But man, I feel bad for the guy. You need to elevate yourself and say it's a terrible, bad thing for this poor, poor man who is a brainworm. My favorite joke, you want to respond with the Grand Slam, was when the news came out they had a brainworm. I don't know who came up with the joke, but I saw it in the super chats on Timcast IRL. They said, "Did you hear that a brain-eating worm died in RFK Jr.'s head? The poor thing starved to death." That was a good one. The poor thing starved to death. The poor worm. All right, anyway. We'll grab a couple more. Noah Sanders says, Tim, do you plan to work with Michael Seifert to put together the Public Square Shark Tank and be one of the investors to build culture and parallel economy? If he's doing that 100%, that would be based AF. We talked about that a while ago. I don't know what's going on with it. We're talking with Public Square about a lot of opportunities, action sports, etc. You know, the reason why I'm going to talk about skateboarding later on at the very end, you know, because I know it's very esoteric. You know, people talk about get woke, go broke. And often there's this debate as to whether companies actually do. Disney lost $1 billion, and we all say get woke, go broke, but they're still very profitable, making a lot of money. Ladies and gentlemen, skateboarding got woke and went broke. And that's not an exaggeration. Skateboard culture is dead. I'm going to show you. It comes and goes in waves, skateboarding, but is massively culturally influential. A lot of bands become popular, strangely, because skateboarders are this is true, putting songs out in skate videos that then end up on playlists, clothing styles. Skateboarding in the 2000s was the nexus of culture. Most people didn't skate, but skateboarding would do things that were inspirational to young men and the young women who watched as well, mostly young men, though, which resulted in purchasing power and a shift in economics, which resulted in style changes, the expansion of shows. I mean, MTV was dominated by Viva La Bam, Jackass, Ryan Sheckler had a show. Ridiculousness, still really popular, all based on that burst of skateboarding. Skateboarding today. We talked about this a little while ago. Advertisements where there's a skateboarder not even doing a trick anymore. Like you look at Skateboarding Magazine and you'll see some dude jumping off a building into like over a pit of spikes and piranhas. And you're like, that is an amazing feat of physical capabilities. And then for a while, we started getting ads popping up where it was someone not doing a trick at all, but they were gay. And I'm not exaggerating. One where it's like a man wearing a dress and he's just riding his board. And it's like byproduct because person is gay. This is the stuff that is uninspiring to young men seeking adventure. They're no longer interested in this. It's not attractive to young women either. And so you've ended up with an industry that is in absolute freefall. But I'll save that for later. This is the epitome of get woke, go broke, and the elements of social media and the internet that are driving it to its death. And we will push these people out and we will tell them skateboarding, look, everyone's allowed to skate. But if you're a hater and a clout chaser who is trying to burn the industry to the ground to inject your weird political ideology and your weird narcissistic insecurities, then you are the exception to that. Keep that away from us. If that is who you are and you keep your mouth shut, skateboarding's for you along with everybody else. But too much of the industry is dominated by these woke, virtue signaling gatekeepers that have burned the industry to the ground and made it impossible for people to be professional athletes. But I'll save it. I'm already going off on a rant. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump into the next segment. We have this from the Daily Mail. Trump claims Biden never had COVID, says if he can't run for office, he can't run our country, and delivers brutal ultimatum to Kamala Harris as polling shows who would win. Donald Trump claimed that Joe Biden's positive COVID test was a phony, demanded he resign, and issued an ultimatum to likely new opponent Kamala Harris. Trump made a series of posts on Truth Social. He wrote, Biden never had COVID. He's a threat to democracy, but let's pull them up. There's literally one of his posts. Biden never had COVID. He's a threat to democracy. Trump, I believe, is correct on both accounts. I don't know that I trust the narrative that Joe Biden had COVID. I think that, along with many others, it was just a play to be like, oh, he's sick. Now he needs to resign. Joe Biden had stated he would consider resigning if he had a condition, if his doctors told him so. A few hours later, he's like, I have COVID. I have to cancel my speeches, and then left. I think it's all part of the plan. I think there's a strong possibility right now that Joe Biden did not resign. He's resistant. He doesn't know. But it's a coin toss because I'm not sure. It's entirely possible Joe Biden knows full well what's going on, and he stayed in the race thus far to block RFK Jr., and Democrats know exactly what's going on. Or there's the chaos hypothesis, I guess, and that is Democrats are using Joe Biden. Joe Biden is obstinate and won't drop out of the race. They were hoping he would, and they kept him in and told him he was going to be president because they wanted him to block RFK Jr. Hey, you're the incumbent. You're the nominee. I'm going to run, he says. And then they're like, okay, now you need to leave because RFK Jr. is not a threat anymore and the convention's coming up. And then he says no. So then they issue the resignation for him. I think there's a very strong probability, nay, possibility, that the Democratic establishment is in ruins. The deep state of the liberal economic order, founded after World War II, is in free fall, and they have no idea how to maintain this system. Thus, the populists are taking over. Trump posts on Truth. It's not over. Tomorrow, crooked Joe Biden's going to wake up and forget that he dropped out of the race today. Who is running our country right now? It's not crooked Joe. He has no idea where he is. If he can't run for office, he can't run our country. Agreed. National polling averages show Harris trailing Biden 48-46, according to the New York Times. That's an improvement on Biden's scores. Trump's beating him 47-44. These are the wrong polls. These aren't comparable polls. In swing states, and even states that have turned reliably blue in recent elections, Harris outpolls Biden even when losing. She's within 1 point of Trump in Pennsylvania, beating Biden, who was losing 48-45. In Virginia, she leads Trump by 5 points over Biden, who only leads Trump by 4 percentage points. There's a really funny meme. And they're like, Kamala Harris has the hurdle of being what is she? She's like Jamaican Indian and a minority female president. In order to convince the older, more sexist and racist Americans to vote for her, she's going to need someone with real experience working in government, someone who has served in a diverse administration before, a strong, older white man. Joe Biden, welcome back. Vice President Joe Biden is back. They're going to switch. Remember how Joe kept calling Kamala President Kamala? What if Kamala Harris has been the president the whole time? Everyone's like, no, it's Jill. No, it's Obama. I don't know. Maybe it's Kamala Harris. Anyway. However, those polls were conducted before the assassination attempt. In a poll conducted from July 9th to 18th, surveying 1,000 Georgians, Trump leads Harris by 51-46. I do not care for these polls, my friend, because I don't take into consideration the assassination attempt and the subsequent media. And we don't actually have very many polls so far. We have what do we have, like 4 or 5 so far? So you take a look at these. I don't care about this. Trump against Newsom up 11. Yeah, but the polling was during the weekend with the assassination attempt. Forbes from Harris X Forbes, Trump is up 2. Trump beats Harris by 4. Don't care. That was started on the day of the assassination attempt. Morning Consult. This is on Monday. Don't care. We need polls that are going to be 16-18, and that's what we're seeing right here now. These are the polls I care about. YouGov, July 16th to 18th, 3 days after the assassination attempt, people have been able to absorb the news. The week is coming to an end. We know how they're starting to feel about the media, how it's affecting them, and we still need a week. Trump is up 3 against Harris and 5 against Biden. Still not enough. July 17th, SoCal Research has Trump on Harris. She's Trump over Harris, up 8 points. 8 points. Not fit to serve. Speaker Johnson leads GOP demands for Biden to resign from presidency. Oh, boy. I think so. Joe Biden should resign. I don't understand this argument that he can't run and that he should also be president. What's the Democrat position on this one? Fox News reports Republican lawmakers are calling on President Biden to resign from office immediately after he announced he will not seek re-election in November. Speaker Mike Johnson said in a statement, if Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he is not fit to serve as president. He must resign the office immediately. November 5th cannot arrive soon enough. If the Democrat Party has deemed Joe Biden unfit to run for re-election, he's certainly unfit to control our nuclear codes. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer said minutes after the bombshell news broke, Biden must step down from office immediately. I think everybody agrees. I don't understand an argument you could make in this regard. I don't see it. House GOP Conference Chairwoman Elise Stefanik similarly said if Joe Biden can't run for re-election, he's unable and unfit to serve as president of the U.S. He must immediately resign. The Democrat Party is an absolute freefall for their blatantly corrupt and desperate attempt to cover up the fact that Joe Biden is unfit for office. And so on and so forth. The quotes, all shockingly similar. The question then becomes, if Joe Biden does resign as president, Kamala Harris becomes president and then says, I am certainly capable of running this office, but not a campaign at the same time. They can make that argument. Well, if you can't campaign, you can't be. No. Who's it going to be? Bill and Hillary Clinton endorse Harris and praise Biden. Oh, boy. I hope y'all are ready for this one. President Hillary Clinton, perhaps? Is that the play? I doubt it. But Hillary apparently lost a bunch of weight, so she's been trying to get fit. I don't think she can win. But the argument is, the reason the Clintons endorsed Harris is so that at the nominating process at a brokered convention, when Hillary Clinton wins and she does the face again at the balloons, she can say, you know, I really am grateful that you believe in me. I endorsed Kamala Harris, but you chose me. I am so magnanimous and humble. Look how great I am. Let me talk about where we're at. Let me pull up this website here for you. What is the liberal world order? From the Council on Foreign Relations. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is a fact. This is on the Council on Foreign Relations website, CFR. The liberal world order. After World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, countries sought to ensure the world never again devolved into such horrific violence. World leaders created a series of international organizations and agreements to promote global cooperation based on a system known as the liberal world order. The U.S. has championed that system, promoting cooperation on issues including security, trade, health, and monetary policy. For the past 75 years during this time, the world has enjoyed unprecedented peace and prosperity. Except the Middle East, I guess. But those institutions are far from perfect, and today they are struggling to address new sources of disorder, such as climate change and a deadly pandemic. What's more, democracy is on the decline around the world. Authoritarianism is on the rise, and countries like China are deliberately chipping away at the liberal world order, creating parallel institutions of their own. Faced with those challenges, will the liberal world order survive? If a new system emerges, what will that mean for freedom, peace, and prosperity worldwide? Is that how they make the argument? Is that how they try to play the game? Seriously? The United States has military bases in basically every single country. Not literally every country. For what? You know why our troops never left Germany or Japan? Because we're occupying them after World War II. How many German military bases are in the United States? I didn't think so. This is what they are fighting to preserve. The military industrial complex, American hegemonic power. I say enough. I do. You've not justified this. Global peace and order. Hence, the children of Americans will serve at the behest of NATO, foreign countries in South Korea and Japan and Afghanistan. Spare me your global empire BS. Now, I am of two minds on this issue. I don't think that it's absolute in any direction. I certainly think the idea of a post-World War II attempt at world peace is a good thing. We have troops in Germany. Well, we occupied Germany. We were at war, and so we set up military bases. Japan, much the same. Don't you think at some point you leave? Oh, but we don't want them to gain control again. That's where it all goes wrong. And that's perhaps why these things aren't possible. These systems they want to put in place. Why were we in Afghanistan? The Mujahideen, Russia was moving in and with the threat of communists in the Soviet Union? Sure. And I hope you entertain this very real thought, very real possibility. With the Soviet Union expansion by military force, it is entirely possible that the U.S. gets cut off from trade, eventually loses more and more allies as Soviet influence expands, and then the United States becomes isolated to the point where it is a second world nation crippled under trade controls by global Soviet communist power. I think that's what they feared back in the day. I don't think that justifies the failures that they have wrought. That is to say, all of these ideas and plans they have for their liberal world order aren't working anymore. And the justification is we should just keep doing it. You want to talk about the rise of authoritarianism and all this other garbage? Sure, Democrats are about to choose their nominee by special appointment. That is the authoritarianism on the rise. Now, a Donald Trump presidency, round 2. Is that going to be a perfect system? No. You know, there's rumors going around that Trump is going to appoint some real bad dudes who hang out with some real bad boys and all of that stuff. And I'm like, sure. But I think Donald Trump gets it. Here's what I want to see. World peace, peace agreements, reunification of the Korean Peninsula under a popular government that actually works for the people. I don't know if that's possible. The dramatic cultural split between the North and South is very difficult to mend. I want to see trade agreements, peace agreements, de-escalation of war and conflict. And that's very, very difficult. Nay, impossible. But I can tell you this. The liberal economic order has failed in that mandate. They have not maintained peace. They have not fought authoritarianism. They have burned our money, our resources, driven our economy into the garbage, creating series after series of global crises. And at this point, I can only say, your nobles may be, your nobles. The nobles of the liberal economic order who view themselves above the people may be well-intentioned, but that does not give them supreme, unfettered control and invincibility to continue to fail for generation after generation. Here's what we do. We weed out the rot, and perhaps we face a hard reset. And that's not going to be fun for anybody. But this idea that the global rot can continue is an absurdity. You have American troops all over the world. Let me pull up that map of U.S. military bases. Let's do this. Map of U.S. military bases. Bases around the world. Today's military.com. And let's, we want all of it. We want all of it. Space Force. Here we go. Let's pull this up. Let's talk about the current state of things. So, where's the show filters? Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force. And let's throw in all the boot camps, because that matters too. Training facilities. And let's take a look at this. So in the United States, I'm not surprised to see that we've got all of these bases, as we should. That's awesome. I like American military bases. Hawaii, we got questions about Hawaii because of the Geneva Conventions and expansion, colonialism. But the U.S. wanted that Central Pacific military base. Over here, I believe we have is Guam, right? Yep. Guam is also, similarly, Guam's pretty cool. We got an Air Force naval base and, questions about whether the U.S. should be there. But hold on there a minute. There's a U.S. naval base in Singapore. There's a U.S. naval base. What is this? Look at this. Point Marianne. It's an atoll. That's awesome, by the way. I don't know how I feel about these, like, isolated and obscure naval bases, but it would be really fun to go hang out at Point Marianne, right? This ridiculously isolated region in the Indian Ocean. Look at that. That's crazy. Hey, look at this. Bases all over Europe, surprisingly in Germany all over the place. And it appears, just in Belgium as well. We have Air Force bases all over the United Kingdom. And then you can jump over here. What about is it not giving us? Oh, okay. Let me reload these for you. For what purpose are we maintaining all of this military force around the world? It's not showing our bases in Afghanistan, though, which we have many. But sure, whatever. We have bases all over the place. And the question is why? South Korea, Japan. Why is the U.S. occupying all of these other countries? Look at this one. This Air Force base at, what is this one? Ilha Tercera. Whatever. This is what they're fighting to maintain. A system that is in decay. My view is that the liberal economic order was created by these men after World War II. And the idea was, we've got control of these areas. We're going to fight the commies, and we're going to maintain world peace. Their children inherit it. Sniveling little brats. Sure, they understand the gist of the message, but they're entitled. They were raised in a world of global authority, which they controlled, and they thought it was in their entitlement. And then, of course, you get the grandchildren. Generation 3 of the liberal economic order, they have no idea how to run this machine. They don't know how to create candidates. They don't know how to be candidates. And thus, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, they're all out of touch. Kamala, of course, is 59? A bit younger than the rest, but still fairly old. There's no candidates. The liberal economic order failed to create a strong generation that knew how to run this machine. A machine that I'm not particularly a big fan of, but I'm certainly no fan of the Soviets taking over the world. The Soviets collapse, and then the U.S. is basically unabated. NATO tries to continue to expand, but for what reason? The efforts that have been made so far by the uniparty establishment and the liberal economic order, liberal world order, have been destructive to these ends, to themselves, and for this they're collapsing. They don't know how to keep out populists like Donald Trump. They don't know how to maintain cultural cohesion. They don't know how to speak to the American people, and thus they are just spiraling and burning out of control. And then you get the meritocratic rise. What we're seeing now with the likes of Donald Trump and the populist right and Matt Gaetz, and even AOC to a certain extent, is that the people are starting to step up. And this terrifies the elites who believe that without their uniform control, the world will descend into, World War III again. That is no reason to support any of these people. They have not proven they have the capabilities to maintain even that system. They've proven only that they will burn our money in Pakistan on gender studies, in Ukraine on war that we can't win. That could drive us into World War III. And for what? To tell Russia that we deserve to be pressed up against their border and cut them off from the Black Sea? For what? Nothing that you have justified to the American people that we should spend blood and treasure on. And for that, you lose. And good riddance. You deserve to. Because that's what this country is about. If Donald Trump can prove that he can win, then he should win. And the response, of course, from Democrats to say he's a fascist and authoritarian, he's going to take over. And no, he's going to try to secure American borders, bring back American manufacturing. Joe Biden's even adopting all of these Trump positions because Trump saw it coming. Trump saw that the liberal economic order was failing, and the best move was going to be to repair your central position. The United States as a nation needs to be strong, and it is not. We are having a fertility crisis, an economic crisis, and that is going to combine into the apocalypse. You know what I noticed as I was flying around the country? So I was flying from Milwaukee to Milwaukee and back. The planes were all delayed. It was kind of nuts. I noticed something interesting. The family restrooms at airports have started to turn into all gender bathrooms. You noticed that? So we were in Chicago, and what used to be labeled as the family restroom, and it's got the baby thing and everything, you change the baby's diaper. It was called the all gender bathroom. And I wonder about that. I wonder if there is a correlation between the lack of people having children and family bathrooms being turned into all gender bathrooms. You can see the priority of the culture. You know, we were talking about this on Timcast.rl last week, or the week before, I can't remember. McDonald's used to have play places. McDonald's, a fast food restaurant. It used to be that you'd show up and they had a play place. Half the restaurant was a ball pit with slides and tubes and tunnels. Isn't that crazy to think about? I'm going to McDonald's and my kids are going to be in a playground while I order cheeseburgers because family meant something. And that is gone. And I blame these people, not the Clintons literally, but them and their political cohorts have failed this country, failed to defend its culture. And for this, we're now being what? Flooded by millions upon millions of illegal immigrants because they're desperate to bolster the population as the country crumbles. It's your fault. Y'all have failed this nation. And they say, I love this. AOC is like, Trump says immigrants are criminals. Ugh, I can't stand these people. That's what the Kamala HQ campaign is saying. No, we're saying the criminals are criminals. I don't care about immigrants, but if you enter the country illegally, that's a crime. You're a criminal. And this is what's terrifying to me to see. There will be no liberal economic order, no global peace, no American military hegemony if there is no America. And these people have neglected the health of their own nation, sacrificed the wealth of their own nation for what? Some noble endeavor of having U.S. military bases in foreign countries? We should always be fighting for our home before we're worried about everybody else. You got to clean your room before you try to change the world. And America represents the antithesis of this. And where are we now? A man who is not capable of being president as president has dropped out of the race. Democrats have no one to swap out. Kamala Harris, I guess, she can't win. She's underwater 8 points in some of these polls. And the American system is in free fall. We have been failed by those men who created that liberal world order, their children and grandchildren. And for this, they are losing power. And they may burn this country to the ground to stop the popular moves from happening. So I'll wrap up this segment by saying Donald Trump, the popular choice, is accused of being a fascist and an authoritarian. And Democrats seek to nominate their candidate by secret poll of political elites. They claim to fight authoritarianism for the sake of the global order, but they have become the monsters that they seek to they sought to fight, or at least claim to. Maybe they never really did. Be careful when fighting monsters, lest ye become one. For as you gaze into the abyss gazes back. And Democrats represent that so well, they do not deserve to have any seats in political office and power right now. And this goes for the uniparty Republicans too. But Trump is something different. We will see what happens. We will see. Got a couple more segments coming up for you. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. We got Timcast IRL coming up tonight. Next segment's going to be at 4 p.m. for those that are not watching live. For everybody else, stay tuned. I'm going to read super chats, and then we're going to grab a couple more segments for you, and we're going to talk about the state of being in this country and a bit more. So it should be fun. Again, smash that like button, and I will see you all in the next segment. And so for those that are wondering, I'm just recording my segments basically while we roll live because there's so much news. And let's see what we have next on the roster. That is really cool. I really want to check out that atoll right there. Oh boy, Kyle Gass. We definitely got to talk about this one. Deleting his Instagram apology for Trump shooting. That'll be interesting. But in the meantime, we're going to grab super chats from you, live viewer. So smash that like button, get your super chats in, and let's go. Strikes Row says, thanks for turning me on to PredictIt. I won my bet on Biden dropping out, so here's a piece. A couple gun tubers took on that blue anon conspiracies. Nothing we don't already know. I got to pull this up. Dude, I'm not giving anybody financial advice, but somebody got rich. Somebody made a lot of money. Look at this. Who will win the 2024 Democratic nomination? Joe Biden's gone. Biden is gone. Biden's at 1 cent. He's out. Dude. This is what I was saying a couple weeks ago. Long now. We have covered the news here live in real time, pulling up the latest stories. Sometimes stories are so breaking. We change the title of the Timcast IRL episode minutes before we go live because we are up to date. And I'm sitting here saying, guys, we know what's going on typically so far in advance. I don't understand why we're not making bets on PredictIt or the stock market. Now, to be fair, where's my phone at? Give a shout out to Ian Crossland, by the way, because he's sitting here ragging about graphene. He's like, graphene, and he's going crazy, and everyone's making fun of him for it. And I'm like, I don't know. He might be onto something. So I looked up a graphene company, and I bought stock in it. And I'm up 51%. And I'm sitting here being like, I didn't buy enough. 51% return in like 2 years. Heavens me. So PredictIt. We were saying, like, we know. I said in November it's not going to be Joe Biden. Anybody who bought shares in Kamala Harris when she was at 1 cent just went up 86 times. Wow, dude. Holy crap. That means $1 bet on Kamala Harris just netted you $86. $1,000 bet on Kamala Harris netted you $86,000. Wow. I'm not telling you what to do, or I'm not saying you should or should engage. I don't know, whatever, man. You do what you want to do. No financial advice. Me personally, what did I have? I think I don't know. I might have put Newsom, right? So my money's probably gone. But I knew it wasn't going to be Biden. So you could always do this. You could always buy the no on Joe Biden. It's NA now. It's like not even available. Yeah, take a look at that. Let's read some more super chats from you guys. Gilted Heathen says, just wanted to say that you inspired me to pick up longboarding again. Do it for the culture. Right on, man. Longboarding is good fun. What else do we got? Grease Monkey says, hey, Tim, love watching your streams while I do my illustrations. Thanks for all you do. Really do appreciate you guys watching, of course. Not that John Stewart says, you've told that Vice story before. Okay, good. Because, like, it's been 10 years or whatever, but, you know, I don't know. It's hard to remember. I think I'm not supposed to tell that story. All right, what do we got? The Arctic operator says, we pay rent for all foreign military bases. The money we pay fuels their economies. We have those bases to establish supplies and security around the world. We're not occupying anything. Wrong. We certainly are. Why are we funding and fueling the economies of foreign countries? Answer me this. Literally, we're occupying them. We only have bases in these countries because of World War II. Not to mention, like, going to Iraq and Afghanistan, literal occupation. Occupation, you know what's really annoying is that supposed to imply that you're mad that we did it? I hate the way that people turn language into insult. Okay, pejorative is literally what it means when a word becomes an insult. Occupation is a thing we do. Okay, if the U.S. invades Germany, which we did, builds military bases, which we did, and then has U.S. troops stationed there, which they are, we are occupying them. Just because years now on, they have no strong military force, and they're like, we're just going to keep the system going, doesn't mean we stopped occupying them. How silly is that? We invaded the country, defeated them in war, built military bases, put our troops there. They eventually said, okay, fine, whatever. Does that mean it stopped being an occupation the moment the German government said, we agree? They said we agreed the moment we occupied them. We stormed in, we took over, and they were like, whatever you say, you win. It's no longer an occupation because they have surrendered. No, but still is. That's why we're there. It's not like, could you imagine if Japan called the United States and says, would you build some military bases in our country and pay rent? And they went, sure thing, buddy. Yeah, spare me. All right. What have we here? Mike says, did you see the vid Jimmy Dore made with Whitney Webb about J.D. Vance and how he is supposedly a puppet of billionaire Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and a member of their Bilderberg conference? Sus. Don't care. Peter Thiel's been fighting back against wokeness. My bigger concern is the failure of this nation. And I think there are certainly people who are aligned with the neocon vision of foreign expansionism who have abandoned that view, and people can change. I think we're winning the argument. So if someone like Peter Thiel comes out and says, hey, all this woke garbage is destroying us and is really bad, I'm like, thank you for being correct. Next. Like, I don't, that's just the way it is. All right, let's jump to this segment, my friends. We got the story from Deadline. Kyle Gass deletes Instagram apology for Trump shooting remarks. This happened the other day. I think a couple days ago, actually. I think we actually talked about this last week. Not on Timcast IRL, but we didn't make it to the big news. I think it was like on Friday this news broke. Actor and Tenacious D guitarist Kyle Gass has deleted his Instagram apology for his quip about the shooting incident involving Donald Trump. Gass was presented a birthday cake by Jack Black at a Sydney, Australia concert on July 14th. Asked to make a wish, Gass said, don't miss Trump next time. That's what he did. He later apologized, saying, I don't condone violence of any kind in any form against anyone. What happened was a tragedy. He didn't say yesterday. He said, what happened was a tragedy, and I'm incredibly sorry for my severe lack of judgment. I profoundly apologize to those I've let down and truly regret any pain I've caused. The remainder of the Tenacious D tour was canceled as backlash mounted for the remark. Black said he was blindsided by his bandmates' comment. I would never condone hate speech or encourage political violence in any form, the School of Rock Star said in a statement. After much reflection, I no longer feel it's appropriate to continue the Tenacious D tour, and all future creative plans are on hold. I am grateful to the fans for their support and understanding, Black added. Black released the same statement on Instagram. And, excuse me, Jack Black and Kyle Gass have deleted those statements. So let me pull up Jack Black on Instagram and show you that he has deleted this statement from his page. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I am incorrect. It is actually still there. Could have sworn that he did delete it. He did not. This, oh boy, things are getting a bit conspiratorial. Shout out to Jack Black for not deleting it, I guess. And we have this Kyle Gass. He is the second half of Tenacious D with 640,000 followers, and he deleted it. It's gone. Absolutely wild. Look at him losing weight or whatever. My friends, let me tell you what I thought had happened. Jack Black on stage with Kyle Gass at a show only a few days after the assassination attempt, because it's been a week, and brings out a birthday cake and says, "Your happy birthday, make a wish." And Kyle Gass looks to this robot or something and says, "Don't miss Trump next time." Everybody laughs. Jack Black starts laughing because for a decade plus, Democrats have lived in a world where they've been allowed to call for violence against conservatives and their political rivals, and the machine has supported them. But it all changes. Here's what I thought happened. Kyle Gass did not apologize. Jack Black canceled their tours, 11 shows, 9 of which were sold out, some in Australia and New Zealand, some in Ohio and Indiana. Puts everything on hiatus. My assumption was after the show, the reason they broke up the band, Jack Black goes to Kyle Gass and says, "You cannot say that. You need to apologize. The management company were on their asses." Now, I'll tell you what I think now, based on everything we're seeing. The rumor is their insurance companies canceled on them, on the venues. And so that's it. They no longer exist. Bye-bye. I think after the show, Jack Black, oblivious to what had just happened, didn't care. I think their management teams were going, "Oh my God, what did you just do?" Kyle Gass gets dropped from his management company. They dropped him. "You're out. You're fired. Because we cannot insure you anymore." I think that Jack goes to Kyle and says, "Man, apologize for this. What can we do?" They were freaking out. I bet Kyle said, "No, I'm not apologizing for a joke, blah, blah, blah." There are many people, disaffected post-liberals, classic liberals, whatever you want to call them, traditional liberals, saying, "You don't apologize for a joke, blah, blah, blah. It's a joke." No. Tragedy plus time. There was no time. This was mocking a tragedy at a time when we are worried these attacks may continue again. So I think there are limits. I really do. We have moral limits. But Kyle Gass does not say a word. Jack Black probably then said, "Okay, we're done. Band's done. Bye." Kyle Gass the next day posts an apology saying, "I shouldn't have said that." And then a few days later, deletes it. Here's what I think happened. I think Kyle Gass didn't want to apologize. And then I think most importantly, the apology did not work. I accepted his apology. I am right. I believe I am 100% correct. I am allowed to say I am right. I am allowed to say I believe that I'm correct. You are all allowed to say that I'm wrong and to tell me why I'm wrong. But I believe the right move was to accept the apology of Kyle Gass, and I'll tell you why. If Kyle Gass says a naughty word, makes a terrible joke, we have an opportunity, a learning opportunity, and an opportunity for advancing the culture war in our benefit. Imagine this. Kyle Gass goes on stage and says, "Don't miss Trump next time." That's exactly how he did it. I love imitating him, mocking the guy. Imagine the management company says it's a disaster. We're fried. You can't do this. We're getting complaints. This could be illegal. There's legal territory here that Australia doesn't have, the U.S. does. They could have been like, okay. We're going to come out and we're going to give a statement. What they should have done, what they could have done, they come out on stage, the next show. But I think the problem was they couldn't do a show. I think they could have put out a video and they could have said, "We're a comedy act and we're trying to be edgy. And I think we made a big mistake on this one. We apologize to you, but most importantly to Donald Trump and the people who lost their lives." I think they could have done that. And why? Why does it matter? That apology tells the world we win the culture war. A statement from Tenacious D to all their fans saying, "We have wronged you all, conservatives, Americans, Trump supporters, the family of the victims, and for this we apologize. You should not make these statements." But for 10 years, liberals were saying, posting pictures of wood chippers for little kids, saying they want to punch a little kid in the face. Having Tenacious D come out and say, "Don't do this, I beg of you," is very, very good for us. Now, where are we? Well, I suppose the argument is Tenacious D should cease to exist. I wouldn't call that a defeat for the right in the culture war. I just think it's better to own the territory than burn the territory to the ground. Tenacious D is not a political group. Jack Black likes Joe Biden. He's allowed to. They're going to make their endorsements in that direction. I don't see why nuking a group. We can put it this way. You have a field in battle. Owning the farms and controlling them gives you access to the food. Raising and destroying the farm makes no one can have the food. Certainly, you've won because you didn't have the food to begin with, and you've deprived your enemy of that food, but you could be more advantaged by controlling it. The fear, I suppose, the enemy could take the farm back. In this instance, Tenacious D seems to be gone. That's it. It's the end of Tenacious D. That's kind of wild. I think it's true the insurance companies dropped them. And with my personal experience with events, venues, and even everything we do at Timcast, dude. You know, it's really funny. Let me tell you something funny. We had a hit piece written about us, and they were like, did you know that Tim Pool makes everyone sign a waiver of release when they come to his property? And I'm like, oh, what? And they're like, whoa. Yep. You come here, you have to sign a release of liability form. You assume full responsibility for anything you do on this property. You fall and get hurt, that's your fault. Guys, that's totally normal. That's absolutely 100% normal for large properties, large private properties that are like atypical. And you walk into a studio in a building, usually there's insurance, and it's insurance companies have no expectation of like, you know, someone might fall down the stairs and sue you or something, and insurance companies will cover something like that. It's an accident. Stairs are designed to code regulation. Okay, well, as for the Cast Castle in Freedomistan, we have winding roads and trees and a pond, and we have skate ramps in certain parts of the property. When you first park at the castle, there's ramps everywhere. And so the insurance companies say, hey, this is an atypical scenario. If someone engages in a behavior that is not up to a specific government regulation, we don't want to be responsible for that. So like any other skate park or atypical facility, like you go to a rock climbing gym, you got to sign a waiver. You go to a haunted house, you got to sign a waiver. You go to laser tag, you got to sign a waiver. They attack us for this. You can't do that here. Look, it's one thing to say, give the people who come a warning about the 50-acre property that you have. Because if they go run and trip and fall in a creek and get hurt, we don't want to pay the bill. The insurance company doesn't cover that. Insurance is like, if someone falls in the stairs, that's okay. Yeah, right. Insurance will cover something like that. That's an accident. And it depends, too, because the insurance company will probably fight the person. You fell in the stairs, it's your fault. They want to put on a show with thousands of people in a venue. And they have said yes to violence. Insurance companies are going to be like, if someone shows up with a weapon, why are we paying for that? Because you support political assassinations. And no, it's a joke. And they're like, we don't care if you're joking. You just told the world to do it again. You said, don't miss next time. You're saying, do it again. Okay. So if someone shows up and does, and they think about this, imagine the management company of Kyle Gass. Someone does engage in violence. Kyle Gass told me to do it. They're going to be like, he did. He publicly went on stage. Yo, how could there be a Tenacious D now? He burnt them to the ground. Sad reality, my friend, sad reality. But I suppose then you reap what you sow. You reap what you have sown. So that's the end of Tenacious D. Kind of sad. I think they're fun and they're funny. I went to their show at the Blue Ridge Rock Fest. It was fun. But that's it. You delete your apology, you get nothing from me. So I rescind my forgiveness as you have rescinded your apology, Kyle Gass. I'm a big fan. Tenacious D, I've been a fan for a long time. Pick of Destiny, one of my favorite movies. And the movie didn't become bad because Kyle Gass is a bad person. But I don't know how I continue supporting a group that can't even accept responsibility for what they encourage on stage. Dude, if Jack Black and Kyle Gass made a video and they were like, guys, we make edgy and offensive comedy. We really didn't understand the sensitivity of the issue. It was ad-libbed. If you can forgive us, I'd be like, guys, I forgive you. I said that when Kyle Gass apologized, but he rescinds this. Now I'm offended. I am slighted in the personal. Say la vie. I'm going to leave it there, my friends. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com. Click join us, become a member to support our work directly. We got a great show coming up for you tonight, of course, at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. One more segment for 6 p.m. to be pre-recorded here on this live show. And for those that are watching live, we'll read some statements from you guys. So again, smash that like button, and we'll see you all at 6. All right, we'll grab some super chats, and then I'm going to round this 2-hour stream off with cultural talk. Most of you probably don't care, but it is what it is. I think it's an important issue that should be addressed, and it's very personal. You may have seen the story of Tim Pool buying the DIY. Let's see if I can pull that up anyway, and then you can have a good laugh. Let's see. Tim Pool gets rejected by crew of skaters and purchase. Let's use that because that'll be the thumbnail. And the war against woke is it's from Destiny r/Destiny. Oh, look at that. The Tim Pool versus the woke left in skateboarding continues on, and they are ramping up the lies and manipulations. But I got news for you: we're winning the culture war. And so they've decided the only way to actually succeed is to lie about what's going on in this industry. And you may be saying, Tim, I don't care about skateboarding. The point of the segment is get woke, go broke is no better exemplified than skateboarding. Really, skateboarding's dead. People can't have jobs anymore. They can't have families. They can't live a life. They struggle to feed their kids. And so they're getting secondary jobs. They're working at Home Depot. They're Uber drivers. You can't be a pro athlete like this anymore. And you never really could. And the fault is the virtue signaling. And man, skateboarding as a driver of culture for decades, no better example than the virtue signaling gatekeeping garbage in skateboarding that is metastasized and spread outward into other areas. And I do think Gamergate was the beginning, but skateboarding really nails it. So we're going to break down the lies. We're going to call out the haters. And I'm going to talk to you about why skateboarding is dying and how wokeness is a component of its own destruction. And the industry leaders who are talking to me in an effort to save this from woke, and we will. Shout out to Public Square for investing in Nitro Circus. We'll grab a couple super chats and then we'll talk about skateboarding for those that are interested in hearing it. Melissa Saldana Ocasio says, please have Maureen Callahan, author of the new book Ask Not, The Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed, on your show. Indeed. We'll take a look. Ducky J. Newcomb says, knowing that Kyle Gass deleted his apology, are you ready to admit that we shouldn't accept every apology the lying left gives? No, you're wrong. You delete an apology, we rescind our forgiveness. That's it. It's that simple. Like, dude, you do not win wars by going 100% scorched earth. Scorched earth has its place in certain conflicts. But Sherman's march to the sea is historically detestable and disgusting. Sherman burned down farms and killed civilians. He destroyed lives for generations to come. It was evil. Look, the South was being built upon slavery. And a lot of people don't want to admit that. For whatever reason, I don't care. There were real political arguments about the rights of states that I completely understand. But they had in their Constitution the right of slavery. Thomas Jefferson, in drafting the Declaration of Independence, wanted to include a provision denouncing slavery, saying that the king had brought people to the country against their will and used them to levy war against the colonists. And they removed that because they were concerned that Georgia and South Carolina would not join the independence effort if they threatened slavery. So it's a contentious issue. The South was doing bad. The North invaded. Literally, the North invaded. That's a fact. It's not an attack. Southern states. Sherman scorched earth. They sacked Richmond. I mean, it's disgusting stuff. The idea that to win a war, you destroy the lives of the innocent and you destroy all that around them and you burn and raze. Now, don't get me wrong. A culture war is relatively different. And you may say the threshold is very different. A guy said a naughty word on stage. No. I'm not playing that game. If I were king and a man came to me and says, you have defeated my armies, you have defeated us, we will now serve you. Good. Rise. You will now work under this man. We don't trust you. We don't believe everything you're saying. And we will break up your guard, move your men around, and disable your ability to communicate and organize. But we will utilize your men. We will utilize your fields. We will control your towns. We will tax your people, etc., etc. That's the point. You won. You exert your influence over them. Send a message. We are benevolent rulers. Lay down your sword and you will live in peace. You know why? Because when you back a rabbit into a corner, it don't run no more. It fights. So we don't want to create a scenario where we have perpetual conflict and can never win. We want Jack Black and Kyle Gass on their knees begging for forgiveness. And then we want to stand magnanimously I love that word as of recent, by the way. And look around at all the other people fighting and say, do not fight, for we are benevolent rulers. Rise, Kyle Gass and Jack Black. We accept your apology. Never slight us again, and you will live in peace. And the same goes for the rest of you. Change now, lest we destroy your lives like theirs. That's what we want. We want victory and control of the institutions. But there's an element of people on the right who want to, destroy all the institutions. Why? Why give up seats of power? Control them. If someone apologizes, I say, thank you for apologizing. Never do it again, or else we and others will stop buying your product. We'll boycott you. Imagine this. Imagine tomorrow Disney started putting out movies and shows that were anti-woke and pro-America. We'd be very happy. Regular people around the country would start getting shows where it's like, America is great and always has been. That message would resonate with children everywhere. That seat of power pointed in our direction for the betterment of this country is a good thing. If Disney were to evaporate overnight, what do we have? The Daily Wire? Do you think they're going to reach 100 million people, even people around the world? They're not. I like the Daily Wire, but they don't have that reach. Maybe they can get there in 20 years, 30, 40, 50, who knows? Take the seats of power. Tell them to bend to your will. I'm not a fan of that scorched earth stuff. B-Bash says, I get your meaning in a path of forgiveness, but there are some things you don't forgive, especially when it's not a genuine apology. No, a surrender doesn't mean the person likes you. When you win a war and the enemy leader says, I surrender, it doesn't mean he's going, you know what? I realized you are all correct and I give everything. No, you take it by force in war. And then you strategically break it up so they can't rise up against you, but you control their resources. This is what the Nazis did. It's what every faction does in war. You take control of an area, you switch the factories in your favor. The reason why the name Smith is so prominent is because when wars happened in the Middle East, in Europe, a little bit in the Middle East, but mostly in Europe, if an enemy nation was going to war, they would never send a blacksmith because the blacksmiths make weapons for you. And if they took over a country, they didn't kill the blacksmiths because the blacksmiths make weapons for you. And thus, Smith became one of the most popular and prominent, not popular, but most common names. Schmidt, Smith, etc. And there are other languages. You come into a village and you say, the warriors, you get rid of them. The Smiths, you keep. When the man surrenders, why does he surrender? Because they lay down their arms and they service your empire. So this idea that an apology needs to be genuine to win a war is silly. Surrenders always come begrudgingly. Kyle Gass didn't want to apologize, and he rescinded it likely because it did not work. And I think that's a failure. Imagine if Jack Black came out and apologized to Donald Trump. Imagine if we said, Guy, we want your apology. Make a video and say sorry to Trump. Imagine that. Imagine the cultural influence you could wield. Man. But some people just want to watch the world burn. Some people want their enemies to feel pain because they feel pain. I don't care about that. I care about winning on the chessboard. Go sit down at a poker game. Go play a game of chess. Get into a fight in MMA and be angry and see how that works out for you. People need to understand this in fighting. They try to get their opponent angry on purpose to cloud their logic centers. I don't care about whether Kyle Gass is sincere or not. I want the world to see that he dropped to his knees and begged for forgiveness. And then after he did, it was okay. This is how cancel culture works. And this is how the left was able to gain control of so many institutions. They said, slight us and we'll destroy you. Promote us and apologize to us and we will reward you. And so this was the game for 10 years. People would come out and just blindly support garbage to keep themselves safe. Now, I don't live in that reality, and I don't want to either. We want genuine good morals. Do not promote degeneracy in this way. Apologize, and then live your life. We are the reasonable individuals here. We respect individual liberties and meritocracy. They will treat you like servants. If you give someone no choice and back them in a corner, then you get an angry rabbit. And an angry rabbit will still scratch you. But I get it. Some people want an emotional victory. They want Kyle Gass to feel pain because someone lost their job 5 years ago. I don't see the material benefit to me in the culture war by just maximizing emotional suffering. It doesn't make any sense. Feels good, I guess. Not interested. Okay, so I do realize most of you may not really care, but let's talk about the story. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Pool versus the communists. As the story goes. Young Tim Pool wanted to skate, and he showed up in Martinsburg, West Virginia, where he owns properties, and all around the area, which he owns many more properties, and said, hey guys, can I skate with you? And they went, no, we're too cool for you. So he said, oh yeah, I'm buying your land. The story that the left is pushing is that I tried to buy my way into a local skate scene. And when they told me we don't want your money, I bought the land from underneath them and then shut their skate park down. A bunch of people on the right are saying, wow, that's really based, Tim, that you stole from these commie woke leftists and took away their park, none of which is true. And it's a lie they maintain. Because the culture war is on, my friends. Here's a post from r/Destiny 4 days ago. Tim Pool gets rejected by a crew of skaters that run a local DIY skate park. His response? Purchases the land from underneath them and calls them woke leftists. No, I'm calling the specifically 4 or 5 guys who are woke leftists, because they've posted online legitimately and specifically that they reject my politics. They support LGBTQ pride and pride flags, and they've intentionally said it's political. They go to mention there's a video from Gifted Hater, a 40-minute reaction and a Slap magazine forum discussion. If you need a break from U.S. politics and just want to see how unhinged Tim Pool is with communities that honestly couldn't give an F about him, it's a hilarious story. And thus, the culture war rages on, my friends. And we have this from the Surfs. You guys know Lance from the Surfs. He was on Timcast IRL. Videos within videos within videos. Tim Pool buys and closes DIY skate park, ? The quartering is on the case. No such thing happened. Certainly no such thing happens. Do I have the Gifted Hater video pulled up? Yes. Gifted Hater's video, skateboarding's new supervillain. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I am skateboarding's new supervillain to communists, liars, grifters, clout chasers, and haters. So let's talk about the real story real quick for those that don't know. No, I didn't shut down a skate park. That's laughable. In fact, I've paid for repairs and improvements to the park already and posted this on Instagram, which I will start out by proving instantly to you to show you these people are liars. And that is, in fact, the purpose of what they do. They lie for political power. And as exemplified by the fact that they're literally lying. Now, here's a picture from the local DIY spot with concrete being poured. It's a DIY. These are not big construction crews. These are locals who found a space and started to build it. The locals that are currently there and who are on property that I now own have been granted money to help improve it and expand it. And I've been talking with a couple of these people, and it's been fantastic that they've been able to fix up and improve this park. Now, some people have said, Tim, that concrete pour is terrible. Why? Where's the real? It's a DIY. It means do it yourself. The lies that the left is pushing, and exemplified by literally the Surfs and Destiny, etc. These are not skateboarders. These are leftists pushing lies, which get picked up by a cancer in skateboarding to then destroy the industry. Skateboarding is get woke, go broke. It's the best example of getting woke and going broke. And I'll show you. The death of skateboarding, the declining popularity of skateboarding. Fact. There's a great documentary, mini doc on YouTube, interviewing pro skateboarders and talking about their careers and how at their peak they only made like $40,000 a year or $50,000 a year. Never enough to save, not enough to buy property, not enough to feed their families or have a wife and have children unless they're older, and they don't. Many of them have quit. They've taken jobs, Uber driving, deliveries. Some have just wasted away, did drugs, and became drug addicts who are homeless. And it's a sad, sad story that some of the most prominent names in a very, very popular culture from the 2000s are losing their way of life and are not able to sustain themselves. And it is the fault of people like this is what the left does. Let me pull up this video for you right here. This is from Gifted Hater, they call him. Skateboarding's new supervillain with 135,000 views. I'm really glad that this guy made this video, which is fundamentally false in numerous ways. He pulls different posts from Timcast IRL and discussions about it. And let me just point out, well, for one thing, I'll just say outright, I did not watch the video because I don't really care for the most part. I want to point something out for you guys. In that video, he mentions that Tim Pool's not really working with professional skateboarders by pulling up mutual followers and then looking at like, I don't know, like Ricky Glazer, I think is might be on there. I don't know. And saying like, haha, that's the people who he's working with. He's not working with pros in the industry. Well, I'm not going to say much because it's not my job to speak for other people. But yes, the biggest names in skateboarding, some of the biggest names I have been in regular contact with and are working out deals because skateboarding is dying because of wokeness. Not 100% because of wokeness. And the left will argue that I can't define what wokeness is. I certainly can. Skateboarding has had an element of wokeness in it for the whole time. Virtue signaling, clout chasing, join or die mentality of our dominant culture. And that's been the case for skateboarding for a very, very long time. It's disgusting, and it is the plague, it is the scourge, it is the cancer of skateboarding. Replace skateboarding with any other culture because I want to talk to you about wokeness. There was a period at skateboarding's popularity where it was wild and crazy dudes being wild and crazy, edgy, funny, and pushing the limits, being offensive and shocking and punching each other in the face and slapping each other in the nuts. And young guys liked rebellion. Now I go to a skate park and I see Black Lives Matter spray painted on a ramp. I'm like, that's like a Walmart corporate slogan. That is corporate America. That is international corporate alignment. That is not punk rock. And that's what the kids have in front of them. So why don't they want to do it? Well, you take a look at this guy, Gifted Hater. And I'll tell you what generally I hear about him. He has a YouTube following, which are generally haters, hence the name. Angry, they attack people, they insult people. If you are not aligned with what they demand, they will incessantly just go after you. Here we go. Look at this. 4 days ago, someone commented on a picture of us fixing the DIY. Gifted Hater just trashed you on this. It was great. Why is he trashing me for giving money to help fix a local skate park? Serious question. For those that don't know, let me give you the first bit of the story. We have property in Martinsburg. This property is derelict, and it was owned by some people who, I guess his father died, passed it to the wife died, passed it to the kids. The kids were not keeping up with it. Some locals built a park here. I announced that we were going to be participating in our local skate jam in Martinsburg, for which we are allowed to because we own property there and we skate there. It's a DIY. It's not owned by anybody. And so it was fallen into disrepair. And so I announced $20,000, no strings attached, free of charge to this event. And they threatened me with physical violence. If Tim Pool shows up, he will be physically removed. He's not welcome here. What do you mean you're not welcome here? You don't own the property and I live here. And you know what the problem was? The problem was skateboarding is not supposed to ever be exclusive. Skateboarding is for everybody, even the gifted haters, even the clout chasers and the whiners and the losers and the virtue signalers. But you don't get to tell people what to do. And if your intention is to hurt the culture and attack anybody who wants to be a part of it, you are the reason skateboarding is dying. And it is. I'm going to break that all down for you and prove it to you. And that was our intention. Now, this is, in my opinion, get woke, go broke. Epitomized. Many people have pointed to movies and video games and said they haven't really gone broke. They're still making millions and billions of dollars. Certainly, Disney lost $1 billion in revenue off their movies. Disney is still very profitable. But skateboarding's not. Skateboarding has become cringe and unbearable, and people don't want to do it. And that's sad to me, because I've been skateboarding since I was 13, and I love doing it. One of the oldest videos on YouTube, seriously, uploaded before YouTube was even a year old by Brett Novak, Tim Pool skating in a Chicago warehouse. It's from like 2003. And it's one of the oldest videos on YouTube, back when YouTube wasn't even a thing. I don't even know where the videos were getting uploaded. But YouTube was barely a thing. One of the oldest videos. What I want is for skateboarding to grow and to thrive and to be a legitimate industry where people can have a family and live their dreams and make a career inspiring young people and engaging in a professional sport the same as everybody else does in all the other professional sports. Now, it is true that you're not going to be a professional athlete your entire life. So, what's the average amount of time spent in the NFL? 3 years. However, they get contracts between $300,000 and $500,000 a year. So they crank out $1 million, $600K after taxes for 3 years, and an opportunity for investment, endorsement deals, and even more. You might get paid $300K a year on the lowest contract in the NFL, maybe $500,000. I think $300K is around like average for like the rank and file player. But you're also getting minor endorsements. You're going to make a good amount of money. Afterwards, you have an opportunity with the attention to do other programs. There's famously a guy who played in the NBA in the 90s As soon as he got the money, he went to Wendy's and he said to the manager, I'm so-and-so, can you teach me how to run a Wendy's? And the guy was like, you're on the Bulls, you're a superstar. And now he's just a guy who owns like 60 Wendy's franchises. There's opportunity for you utilizing the attention you get from being a pro athlete. Skateboarders never had that. Very, very small amount of them have ever been able to make a ton of money. But at least some of them could make a living. And now it's done. Some of the top pros are struggling. Skateboarding is basically dead. And it's the virtue signaling, gatekeeping, and woke elements that destroyed it. I think elements of wokeness entered skateboarding because of desperation to create a community that will buy the product. And this is what a lot of companies have done. Go Skate has the death of skating, the declining popularity of skateboarding. The problem that I see is that when you have people like Gifted Hater, that's a guy on YouTube, check out his stuff, you can like him or not, whatever. But when the whole intention is to attack, lie, and insult, people quit. They say, I don't want to do this, man. Skateboarding is fun. It's a sport. You're physically active. You're in shape. You can conquer new moves. You can develop new things. It's in the Olympics now, of which I've never been the biggest fan, but we do what we have to do and try to utilize this. But if the intention of all these people is to insult and deride anyone trying to do good things in the industry will die. They want it to. There's a contingent of people who want skateboarding to be the dregs of society. In the early 90s, skateboarding was not popular. You were not making any money. Steve Barrow, one of the most famous skateboarders, said, he was thinking of quitting. Tony Hawk, one of the most famous skateboarders, said, don't do it, stick around, it'll turn around. In the late 90s, it did. The Tony Hawk video came out, and this was the skateboarding boom. Instantly picked up by millions of people. All of a sudden, there was a sport in its infancy that was making money, that was paying people, and it was generating millionaires. Bam Margera, for instance. What did he buy himself? Like a Lambo or something? Tony Hawk got paid, I think it was like $4 million off the first game, and he couldn't believe how much money he was making. Skateboarding was popular. But skateboarding suffers greatly from cultural gatekeeping. And where we are now is, with skateboarding having basically died at an industry level, woke elements were introduced to try and save face. Hey, you don't got to be good at skateboarding. Just put on a dress and we're going to promote you. And that started happening. This then basically pushes all of the adventurous young men who want to play sports away from it, and they go somewhere else where they don't have this. Because while basketball, football, and other sports do have elements of this, like baseball, they do special events for it. In the sport itself, they're not injecting wokeness. Let's see how long it takes for the WNBA to get trans women in there. But in basketball, you still have the best. In football, you still have the best. Skateboarding started to get taken over by people who are not the best, being given magazine ads simply for wearing dresses. This kills the sport. And they say, it's not a sport. It's not a sport. It shouldn't be a sport. Well, it is. It should be a sport. And what we don't want, I tell you the future of skateboarding right now, with the trajectory it's on, with these people who are lying about everything. And again, to stress this, Tim Pool buys and closes DIY skate park. He put a question mark there on purpose so he doesn't get sued because he's lying. Because I've actually been funding the repairs to the park, and more people have been showing up to skate it, and I've been in communication with them regularly, and a small handful of people go online and lie, and leftists pick that up and lie, and people like Gifted Hater who want to clout chase and grift off of it lie. I'll just say this. Johnny Schillereff. He says, thank you for backing skateboarding, USA, USA, USA. He's the former CEO of Element Skateboards, commenting, saying thank you. So they want to talk about the pros who I'm working with. Let's talk about this industry. Here we go. The death of skateboarding. It's a sad reality to confront. There are signs the popularity of skateboarding is declining. No question. Fewer people are looking for skateboards in skate parks online than ever before, as shown by the fact that skateboarding searches on Google are decreasing. Industry studies show skateboarding involvement is down for nearly every age group, including the youth. Participation in skateboarding has declined. In the past 10 years, parks are less crowded than they've ever been. Skateboarding companies are closing. Recently, I think one of the biggest shoe companies announced they were selling off to like Nike or something like that. They're all struggling because skateboarding as a culture is dying, and it's dying for one reason. There are not enough young people joining skateboarding. People get old and they stop doing things. They're not going to buy product as often. They're not going to buy the clothes, and they're more interested in dealing with work, paying the bills, and their family. But their kids are not skateboarding. It's not something that kids are interested in for a variety of reasons, of which wokeness is only a small portion, but does play a role. Cultural gatekeeping is scary to a young person. I've often said that if you want to start skateboarding and you go to a skate park, you will see people there. And if you walk up and say, guys, I don't know how to skateboard. I don't know how to skateboard. Can you teach me? They'll get excited and they will say, yes. They love to share that expertise. And that's true for most sports. However, when you go online and you have people like Gifted Hater, they call him, and his whole thing is insulting and ragging on people, and of course, pushing untruths or manipulating, being like misleading, people are going to say, I don't want to be involved in that. I just want to be left alone. But there is, my friends, a community for you that is fun and exciting and doesn't have the same problem. To certain degrees, every culture does have this, but nowhere near as bad as skateboarding. And unfortunately for skateboarding, that is scooting. That's right. Scooters. You've seen them. I think scooting's cool. I think anybody who wants to scoot should do it. I think rollerblading's cool. I think skiing, snowboarding, biking. Man, I love watching all of it. I love watching mountain bike videos. We've got people who scoot here. Here is Google Trends over time. Scooting taking over. Very, very popular in the past few years. And unfortunately, skateboarding is inverted. Skateboarding is dying. If people don't buy skateboards, Google searches for skateboarding dropped 90% since 2004. 90%. If people don't buy skateboards, well, if they're not skating, they're not buying skateboards. So you've got no skate pros. Board companies will go out of business and be isolated down to only a few. Trucks, wheels, bearings, clothing, the culture will die. And that's what we are getting from the serfs. He's not a skateboarder. What does he know? What does he care? But he pushes this for clout and he lies. He's not the only one. You've got the Destiny thing that, that's his subreddit. I don't know if he's commented on it. And you've got these people at the DIY in Martinsburg who want to make sure we can't pay for more skateboarding. Let me tell you another story. I've been in communication with the city of Martinsburg, and I now on more than one occasion talking about how can we get an official park built. And they say, we've been working with a guy for some time who's trying to get it built. And I said, okay, where are we at? The city pledged $30,000 in funding to pay for engineering drawings for an official skate park in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It's the Berkeley County, I'm sorry, not the city, but Berkeley County I've been talking to. Of course, that's where we operate. We've got land all over the area. And we, of course, have property in Martinsburg where we're setting up our coffee shop. So I said, let me cover the costs of those drawings. And they were like, well, we thought this was going to kickstart fundraising. And then I said, $100,000 right now. You let me know when you've secured the land, and I will not only put in $100,000, but I will call all of my contacts and we will aim for $1 million, double the budget. And he was like, wow, that's absolutely fantastic. So who is this guy who lives here who's upset that any of this is happening? Who are the people that are spreading lies about what our intention is with expanding the skate park and repairing it? And why is it that even after we've paid for repairs, they're still attacking us and trying to shut it down? They don't want expansion of skateboarding. They want to be on deserted, derelict property with needles and garbage and whatever else. They want to be the outsiders. They want to tear it down. I don't. So by all means, you're allowed to be my enemy if that's what you want. Because here's what I want. More kids skateboarding, more funding for skate parks, more skate programs, more skate competitions. I don't play baseball. I don't play hockey. I don't play basketball. I skateboard. And I want more of it. They don't. They want to burn it down. They want to drive people out of the industry. They want to scare kids. They want to say it's not okay. I see a video where a guy says a skate park is not a place to learn how to skateboard. Wrong. But this is what will destroy the industry, and it's what likely contributed to the death of rollerblading. But I'll talk about rollerblading right now. You take a look at rollerblading. It's expensive to get a pair of rollerblades, and they're all the same. There's very few different molds for rollerblades. I think rollerblading's fantastic. I've got a pair of rollerblades. I rollerbladed before I skateboarded because I played street hockey with my friends, and then everyone bought rollerblades. So during COVID, I was like, let's rollerblade. Let's try it out. Really, I just wanted to jump on the ramp and get air, and that's it. But I've been skateboarding way more, like 4 or 5 times a week now, and filming more and trying to get skateboarding going again. But rollerblading's hard in that the industry is dead. There are no pros. There's no money to be made, and people do it just for the love of the game. So there's little expansion. There's very little community. Very few people do it if at all. Because of this, with no demand, the price of rollerblades is very high. There's no sporting events, nothing on TV. It is a dead culture. And that is what they want for skateboarding. It is happening before our eyes. We have this Slat Magazine, another really good example. Founded in 1992, ended in 2008. We can see that skateboarding hit a very serious rough patch since the end of the 2000s. It dropped 5% in 2008, 9% in 2009. This is why the magazine shuts down. 12% in 2012, 15% decline in 2011. Slight increase in the amount of skateboarders in 2012, but only 3 million as of 2015. Only 3 million. That's sad for something that was so influential. Between 2006 and 2015, 64% decline in skateboarding. How do we turn that around? Braille skateboarding. Maybe you've heard of them. They've got 5.8 million subscribers on YouTube. They just shut down their park. A channel that used to get millions of views for whatever reason, now only getting tens of thousands. Gone. What do we have? What else do we have here? Oh, I do have the skateboarding Super Bowl thing. The Barracks on Instagram. I like the Barracks. I know Steve Barra. Not like super well. I've talked to him and stuff in the past. But I'll tell you this. How did we get our ramps constructed at the castle? Steve Barra and I had talked, and he recommended a company that can do the construction. That's it. I've worked with him and a few other people I worked with. I was talking to him, and I said, we're trying to get this stuff built. We want good stuff. And he recommended a company, one of the biggest in the world, CI Ramp Works. We hired them. And now Spawn Ranch does the construction for our new ramps. We switched because, business, you know what I mean? Talked with Spawn. He made an offer. We accept the offer. It's really that simple. But these are two of the biggest skateboard manufacturers, skate park manufacturers. But take a look at this. I mean, no disrespect to the Barracks, but here's their Instagram. Here's a post, 21 comments. Here's a post, 11 comments. Here's a post, 19 comments. I mean, it's it, man. There's nothing. Here's a clip that's really amazing. A backflip to blunt stall, 147 comments. Skateboarding is dead and they want it to be. I don't. I'm sad to see Braille skateboarding with nearly 6 million subscribers basically shut down. And now Aaron Cairo, the founder, is making these commentary videos on Instagram. We're going to build culture. We're going to push back. We're going to tell the people that are trying to shut down skateboarding and lie about it. We're going to tell them they're not welcome. They're not welcome. Skateboarding is for everybody. Seems paradoxical, right? But if your intention is to destroy the sport and the industry so that you can have a 20-year-old bored because they stopped making decks, I'm not interested in that. Now, the skateboarding is going to be in the Olympics. Very big deal. And after this year, I believe, is Paris, and then it's coming to Los Angeles. There will be a boom in skateboarding. However, right now, it is tracking corporate. And I tell you what we are going to see unless we do something about it now. With people like Gifted Hater, who are just a drag on the culture. The reason I brought up Slat Magazine, all that is left of Slat Magazine is the Slat forums. And read those posts. It is vile scumbaggery. The whole thing is people hating each other, discouraging each other. And there may be feigning of some, niceties. But almost every post is complaining, insulting, negative. Who the wants to be involved in that? There have been pro skateboarders who, after being attacked, have just said, I didn't sign up for this. I just want to skate. And so they quit. Or they fall back out of the limelight and stop producing in the way they used to. There are pros that are like, I just can't make money doing this. And why? Because when you say we need to get more kids skating, build more skate parks, they attack you for it. This is the scourge and the cancer on culture, specifically mine, skateboarding, that is making sure it will end. And for what reason? I don't know. Is skateboarding dying? The answer is unabashedly yes. And scooting is picking up because just kids are having fun. And they don't care what the old fogies who are complaining all the time have to say. They're having a great time. Skateboard brands going out of business should not be happening. CCS Zoomies and local shops may have been impacted by the downturn. The list of casualties is long. CCS, 411 VM, Digital, Fuel TV, Aesthetics, City Skateboards, Skateboarder Magazine, Arcade, Vehicle Skateboards are all gone. CCS is not gone. Is it? I don't think CCS is gone. Uh-oh. Is CCS gone? Holy crap. No. I didn't even know that. Get out of here. What? No, it's not gone. Website's not loading. Okay, there it is. That terrified me. CCS is still there. I'm like, that can't be right. What I can tell you is I have friends who've quit. And I don't even know. There's some famous skateboarders who are just working Uber Eats. There's in this documentary, you've got Moose, also a really good skateboarder, that's his nickname. And he works at Lowe's and Home Depot. He shouldn't have to. So what's fascinating is, another shout out to Gifted Hater. I pointed out that we pay salaries to our skate team and contingency on all boards. Braille skateboards, for all the controversy they're going through, paid an hourly wage. We do salary. It's like you get paid a flat rate. And he posts this thing in the video where it's like guys saying they pay salaries, and he's like, as if it's not true. Yo, if you're in your 30s and you were hoping to make a career skateboarding, be it starting a company, inspiring young people, teaching, whatever it is, the money's gone. And then what do you do? Where do you go after this? I've been told by some people, so what? Maybe skateboarding dies and goes away. No, I love skateboarding. I want skateboarding to succeed. So that's what we're doing with the Boonies. BooniesHQ.com, which is still being constructed, and BooniesHQ on YouTube and Instagram. It's not just about skateboarding. It's about creating entertaining content and culture in an industry that is being attacked and destroyed by this scourge, this cancer of hatred. So let's go back to the original story. The Martinsburg DIY. For what reason do these people decide Tim Pool will be physically removed? Now, it was one guy who said that. The guy who claims to own it despite not owning it. And I tell you this, there's a reason why I bought that property, and one reason alone. It is 5 acres of fully concreted property. Thank you and have a nice day. But there are other reasons too. We were looking at property built a skate park. It's a DIY with no official organization. We offered $20,000 to people who skated in Martinsburg, and they said no, and they threatened physical violence. They said, we'll physically remove you if you try to come here. I said, okay, then I won't. Immediately, I get hit up by people in the industry saying, that's the coolest thing ever. Thank you so much. Skateboarders are hurting right now. We need help. The industry is dying. The Barracks, one of the biggest media brands in skateboarding, getting only a dozen comments on their posts, and their skate park's officially gone. The Barracks in LA was destroyed earlier this year. It's terrifying to see what's happening. So when I come out and say, I'm going to put money into skateboarding, I'm going to buy a property that was basically derelict and at risk of being destroyed at any moment. The guy who owned it was trying to sell it only a few years ago, would have ended this park. I said, I'll buy it, make sure it's not destroyed, and we're going to put $500,000 towards building a real concrete park. And they told me to F off. They claimed that I was trying to take over. I was trying to buy skateboarding. They claimed that I was trying to trick skaters into voting conservative. All lies. That's what they do. And this has been a problem skateboarding's had for a very, very long time. So I'll tell you what happens now. We're going to shut down the haters, and we're going to keep doing what we do. They're going to cry, they're going to lie, they're going to cheat, and they're going to steal. But I got bad news for all of them. There's only one thing that matters. That people who want to skate are able to make a living. And so this guy, Gifted Hater, on YouTube, he makes a video about me because he gets 100,000 hits on it. He gets paid. That's it. That's the scourge. I make money from a bunch of different things. I got a bunch of different companies, properties, rental properties. I'm at that point that I describe as called breaking the barrier. Breaking the barrier, as I describe it, is something that major athletes go through. Though they may only get a 3-year deal and then never play football again, they made about $1 million through endorsements and salary, and they've been able to invest that in rental properties and businesses to where they can make money for running those businesses for the rest of their lives. Whereas, that's the goal, right? To set yourself up with investments that you can run businesses and you're set. The average person works until retirement and they have a savings, and it's very difficult. But I think most people want to get to that point where they've made so much, they've invested it, and that is retirement, but some people want to get there sooner rather than later. For me, that's what I call it. I've got enough money saved. I was paid enough when I worked for Disney 10 years ago that I can invest in things and run these businesses now in control of them and make sure they succeed in things like this. I don't need to make a video lying about anybody and trying to destroy anything. I don't need to buy a skate park. What a ridiculous premise. That the other thing they're lying about too in these forums, they're saying that I'm funded by right-wing groups to destroy skateboarding and stuff. And it's like, they just lie. It's all they have. But none of that matters. Because the truth is, I am talking to the heads of industry in skateboarding and some of the most prominent professional skateboarders, people with large amounts of followers. And they're saying we need to get more kids skating. In response to this guy's video, the left will lie about it. That's what they're posting on Destiny. I actually have people hitting me up saying, can we talk about how we get more people to skate? Because if kids don't pick this up, if it's not family friendly, if it's not welcoming, we all have to go and get real jobs. That's the joke. Skateboarding's a real job, the same as football camp or baseball practices. You could be a baseball coach. You could be a skateboarding coach. But there's got to be an industry underlying this for it to be possible. So here's a park. Someone tried selling it. It had been there for a while. It was about to be torn down. I was looking for property in Martinsburg to buy to build a skate park. Lucky for me, there's already one that exists, and it was at risk of being torn down because they didn't own it. And so I said, we're going to buy it. There's a particularly astute comment someone made, and they said, did anyone actually stop to consider the reason Tim Pool offered $20,000 to the DIY was that he was planning on buying it in the first place, and this was going to be the announcement about how we're going to give 20 grand away, invest $500,000 in building a real concrete park in Martinsburg, and then preserve and maintain the DIY? Particularly astute. I talked to one of the guys, and they don't live here, actually. They don't live in Martinsburg. And I said, we will build a $500,000 concrete park on the other side of the property because there's also a building there we own. We're going to have a skate shop. And you guys can keep the DIY as it is, and it will fall exactly under the same, protections and everything, and we'll leave it alone. Or if you want, we can add on to it and expand it and have it be a part of the park. And they said, no, F you. So what did they do? It's been a year since any of that went down. And all we've done is fix it and clean it and maintain the property. And they come out with more lies. And now they're claiming that we're going to kick out LGBT skaters and stuff like that. We had an interview with a gay skateboarder who talked about how we oppose exclusion from skateboarding. What they don't want is for success in an industry. I don't think they have these haters. I don't think they have anything actually going for them. This is a component of the left. No matter what it is, they hate. Why do they hate Donald Trump? No reason. Why are they voting for Kamala Harris? No reason. It's just following the trends and following the crowd. But I'll give you one final thought on this because this is one I went a little bit long on. These people have nothing to offer skateboarding. They're not offering children an opportunity. They're not welcoming kids to come skate. They are threatening the expansion of a beautiful park. Many are making the argument, if you want to build a real funded park, you don't understand the point of a DIY. Well, that's why I offered to preserve the DIY and build the park on the other side of the property, which is 5 acres. They don't care. They don't want legitimacy. They want to be dregs. They want to control their crime-ridden hovel, and they will lie, cheat, and steal to do it. But look at the bigger picture now. Look at the state of this country. Look at the people who are arguing against what we have done to try and repair and better this spot. You look at San Francisco, crime, human waste in the streets, and that's what their policy brings. Why? You look at New York, also violent crime, people being pushed in front of trains. Why? Why argue for any of that? It is a scourge on everything. For me, just happens hit a little close to home. But my final thoughts on this, why it involves me and why I make a segment like this, it's because I'm taking direct action where I can. We make music because I play music. We get involved in skateboarding and try to build skate parks because I've been skating since I was 13. And because I love skateboarding. If I played basketball, I'd be more involved in basketball. And of course, there are elements that seek to make sure it cannot happen. And they would burn your cities to the ground. They will make sure that your growth, your development, your values, everything is ripped asunder. These skate parks are falling apart everywhere. The industry is on the verge of collapse. 2 of the biggest brands, Barracks and Braille, are falling apart. No offense. I'm not trying to be mean. I hope the Barracks turns this around and figures out their business opportunity. But it was crazy when we heard they destroyed the skate park, the Barracks. We've got to get rid of the gatekeeping haters who would insult any kid who wanted to skate. And that's what they're doing. It is an unwelcoming environment. But I'll leave it there. Get woke, go broke, my friends. Next segment will be tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. We will now go skate a session the gods themselves will envy. And then we'll be back at 8 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then. And to all of you who are hanging out live, went a little long, but thanks for hanging out. And, you know, and maybe no one really cares about a story like this. It's not big news, but I decided to do this for two reasons. It's the culture war, and I am on the front line of this fight. I want to stress this too. I could have kept this in the other segment, but like, we got homies that are cleaning this park up. Okay, we got people that are showing up and saying thank you for the tools to help make this place better. Skate at your own risk if you go there. There are people threatening me with physical violence still, and even more. The left is latching onto this story. Why? Because it's the culture war. Because we're going to win. Tell me how this park has been hurt by my purchase of it. It insulted a guy? Is that really what their argument is? Tim Pool insulted a guy? Look at the surfs trying to claim I closed it down. No, I repaired it. Not me personally. I've been talking to some locals. They asked if I could assist, and I said, let me know what you need. And I covered the costs of the repairs. Our building in Martinsburg is a couple blocks away. I have been here. They're just lying about everything. They cannot have us win a culture war. Well, I'll tell you this. As skateboarding collapses, I am going to be personally investing in its revival. And that means they're done. The haters, the woke, the cringe, the gatekeepers, their culture is meaningless. Gifted hater is a footnote in the history of skateboarding. Some newcomer to skateboarding who makes YouTube videos that push people away, that does nothing for the sport as it dies. And I don't care about him. You know, he's welcome to come skate, do whatever he wants, but he's a hater, self-proclaimed. And people in the industry don't like the guy. He's basically the drama troll of skateboarding that gets traffic and causes the industry problems. And you know why it doesn't matter? It's a bump in the road. He can't do anything to my revenue. He can't do anything to my mission. The people who follow him can't. They're just a scourge that will be wiped away when we say skateboarding is for everybody, regardless of your politics. Skateboarding is for everybody, regardless of your race, gender, your ethnicity, your sexuality, whatever. I don't care what you do with your private life. You got a kickflip, you got an ollie. You want to try to get one of those, you get it. And we're going to make sure they can't stop us and that we create a fun and accepting environment. Skateboarding is going in a bad direction. If the Olympics happens without an industry behind it, in 10 years, skateboarding will be gymnastics. People will wear unitards. They'll have specially designed shoes attached to those unitards for skating. There will be no street culture. It will literally just be an afterthought. That's what they are going to build. I'm going to wrap it up there, though, everybody. Thank you for hanging out for this live show that went a little bit longer than normal because I've been talking about this. Never Summer says, took your advice, started working out and eating right. Started trying to learn new things to better myself. So far, I'm down 15 pounds, only been a month. Thank you. Keep up the good work. I haven't gotten a skate in a week because I was in Milwaukee. So I'm going to have to go start getting some stretches in right now. Oof. My left quad's been a little sore from not working out. But today we will shred. And it's raining outside, so we can't skate the mini ramp. But I got to pick it up. And you know what's funny, my friends? You know, my peak of skateboarding was probably like, I don't know, 2007 or 8. Maybe not. Maybe like 2010, skating in Los Angeles. And I never cared to film. Didn't care for sponsorships. I've had sponsors in the past to a certain degree. But here I am at 38 and 38 years old. On the back end of any kind of professional sporting career. But I have within me the capability to do many a great feat in skateboarding. And where I normally didn't care, I've got to inspire. And so I'm pushing myself and I'm going to skate better than I've ever had. It's fascinating to me when I see these videos where they're like older skaters, you know, having a hard time. And I'm like, I'm going to go do a nollie heel flip frontside crooked grind because I have to. Because if I don't, these evil degenerates who hate skateboarding are going to destroy the thing I love. So I will throw myself at whatever I have to do to make sure that what I love lives on for generations to come, but lives on in the right way without the hate and the disgusting vitriol these people bring. When we skate, we laugh, we have a good time, we make jokes. We don't need these online haters. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We'll be back at 8 p.m., and I'll see you all then.